Hey everyone, it's ENDYMION, and today there's been some juicy cope that's coming out of the whole Gamergate 2 Sweet Baby Inc. saga that we need to go over. And the studio behind the game I'll be talking about is resorting to banning in order to run damage control. Beyond that, Helldivers 2's new update is out, and the game is not going over well for Sony and Arrowhead, and Warner Bros. Panics and might admit defeat and sell everything. But let's first start with the Sweet Baby stuff. As you know, Sweet Baby is a consulting company that has effectively ruined every single game they've worked on to varying degrees. Sometimes it's more subtle stuff like in God of War Ragnarok, other times it's blatantly obvious like Suicide Squad or Spider-Man 2. Another game has been discovered to be a part of the Sweet Baby bloodbath, and the developers, having been found out, are not taking this well whatsoever, and that's putting it lightly. The game in question is called Capes. You're seeing it on screen now. And to be real with you guys, this game, it doesn't look very interesting at all, and if it wasn't being exposed for being a part of Sweet Baby in some way, I don't think I would even have known this game existed in the first place. Apparently it's a strategy RPG but with superheroes. Think Marvel's Midnight Suns but with way less of a budget or recognizable characters. I also wish that I could make the footage on screen look cooler for you, but this is what the game is. So from first glance, the game is already a no from me just based on how it looks and plays for the most part, although I'm not the biggest strategy RPG fan these days myself. Unless your game is called Baldur's Gate 3, I guess I can dabble with it, or Final Fantasy Tactics for example. Anyways, Capes being added to the list of Sweet Baby's works is not going over well for the studio or the devs, as reported by Park Place. Daedalic Entertainment community strategist says company will not work with Sweet Baby Inc. moving forward, then accuses gamers of trying to harm an indie developer. As you can see here in the credits for Capes, Sweet Baby is very clearly shown to have worked on the game. David Bedard, who's in the second row, that's one of the co-founders of Sweet Baby Inc. And you can also see Chris Kindred, that's the person who started Gamergate 2 to begin with by attacking Cabrutus Rambo. Cabrutus also added the game to his Sweet Baby list, in which now has prompted the devs and their community managers to fire back. This all comes from Capes Steam forums. This dev goes by Penta on Steam. I don't know their real name, but here's what they said. You are a little late. Actually, we already had 3 months and 14 pages of constructive discussion about DEI in the forum and delivered a gameplay update focusing on exactly what the player base wanted, leading to 80% positive recent reviews. You don't have to take my word for it, you can actually read up on it yourselves, but we were already able to explain that Sweet Baby Inc. only worked briefly, mainly to bring the 4 to 5 people strong indie dev team in contact with fitting voice actors. Together with the devs 2+ years ago, and many perceptible players were able to find out that there is no hidden agenda or something else we forced down your throats, or other concerns that they had besides a well-rounded, diverse cast obviously. So why don't we just focus on the most important question that the OP was mentioning already, is Capes fun? And this is exactly why I brought up the positive reactions towards our most recent update. We think you would enjoy it if you gave it a chance. This response, in all honesty, is a good one by Penta because they acknowledge that Sweet Baby Inc. has a sting to them, but are at least not trying to stir the fires. Although saying your game has positive reviews is a stretch, it's mixed on Steam right now. Although that could be done in response to it being a Sweet Baby Inc. game, but I digress. Penta would respond again as backlash got more heated. It's quite a bit to read, so Penta said, and I quote, "There have been some questions coming up and some misconceptions being repeated that we would like to clear up," the developer said. "First off, I'm not a developer at Spitfire Interactive, but community strategist over at the publisher Daedalic Entertainment. Steam just shows anyone with administrative access as a developer. Why are 12 people listed when they didn't do more work on the game than connecting with voice actors? It is an industry norm that if you contract a company, you credit the whole company, or at least that they tell you who they want listed in your credits. If we really wanted to hide something, we wouldn't have put Sweet Baby Inc. into the credits at all, nor would we have been already talking in the Steam forums about it during the last 3 months after release. Why did you still work together with them after all they said? the devs collaborated with Sweet Baby Inc. in early 2022. We are aware of the statements being done by individuals connected to Sweet Baby Inc. in the years to come, but in 2022, there was no sign of that. It is likely that the decision would have been a different one in 2024. You have to learn that as a company bringing games to an international audience, we take the term inclusivity and equality literal. We don't condone hate towards any type of group. This includes among people of color, LGBTQ+, and others, white male gamers as well. It is sad that we have to actually word it out. It should be a given. We are all gamers no matter who we are. If a diverse cast of heroes makes you not want to play capes, that's your decision, but we are surely not the enemy. At least we don't see you as one for making this decision. But at the moment, some, not all of you, are actively trying to harm a small indie dev studio to teach them a lesson that they never really needed to learn, end quote. I think this as well, for the most part, was actually a pretty good response. Penta clearly states that the work that Sweet Baby Inc. had done was prior, obviously, to Gamergate 2 happening. They would have had no way of knowing the backlash associated with the company back when they worked with them, and I think it was also a smart decision to say that Spitfire Interactive is not against white players at all. Honestly, a lot of other community managers could learn that being neutral like this in a situation where any small piece of info can cause an inferno is a smart move to make. Penta also confirming that they had known the backlash with Sweet Baby would be what it is back when they contracted them, that they would not have worked with them in the first place. But ultimately, this was over 2 years ago, and what's done here is of course done. One user on the Steam forum named Hellsmoke77 actually put it perfectly, and you know what? I'll just read you what Hellsmoke77 said because they put it better than I could right here, so here's what they said in response to Penta, and I quote, "Nobody is actively trying to harm anyone. We are voicing our opinions as potential customers. We're the ones they are trying to sell a product to, and we have to watch one product after another being ruined for the sake of diversity and inclusion. We have to listen to people like Sweet Baby Inc. and all types of games journalists insult us and gaslight us, telling us that we're racist for rejecting their political slop, and they are openly bragging about it being just that. I'm not going to link to Larry Fink or Kim Belair saying it outright. We've all seen it. We are past the point of feigning ignorance. It's clearly malice now. You don't get to insult your customer base time and time again and expect them to continue buying and playing your products. And it's not this small team of developers that are at fault. We know this. It's the higher-ups that are making the decisions who are to blame, and they do indeed need to be taught a lesson, and that lesson is that the customer is king. There is no modern audience looking for the well-rounded, diverse cast that you see in every movie, every show, and increasingly in every game these days. It's boring, it's played out, it's not natural, and we all know it's political. The time has come for the industry to decide whether it wants to make good games or push their politics. They're free to do either, of course, but if they want to earn money, politics is clearly not the way to go. That's not what people are here for, at least not the vast majority. I'm sorry these devs have to suffer in order for us to get this message across, but it is what it is. That said, none of what I said should come as a surprise. We've been shouting it from the rooftops for years now, and instead of reading the room, we get mocked and alienated by this tiny group of loudmouth activists that don't buy your games in the end anyways. This is your modern audience in a nutshell. Good luck to whatever you do in the future. I'm done in this forum. If anything, I hope this was at least a learning experience for all parties involved." End quote. Hellsmoke77 is right. Ultimately, this is not about harming the devs at Spitfire over capes, but the higher-ups who make the decisions. We know from all the examples that I've presented in my months of covering Sweet Baby Inc. that it's not your environment artist or your gameplay designer that gets to pick which consulting firms to work with. It's like always your people at the top, your producers, your directors and such, and ultimately the only way to change things is by sending a message to every single studio that has worked with Sweet Baby Inc. or any company that's like them. Nobody, and I mean nobody, who actually pays for their games wants this crap in there. And these patterns and behaviors need to be changed, otherwise these things will continue to get worse almost all year. I've just been playing older games pretty much and loving my time playing them. Besides a few upcoming releases like Black Myth Wukong or Visions of Mana, I'm mostly going to keep sticking to older games for the foreseeable future. They're cheaper to buy, they're usually fixed because they've been out for years, so most if not all bugs are squashed, and most importantly above all, Older games were made prior to the new status quo that is plaguing games today. If your game is Sweet Baby infected, I don't really want to play your game. But if the Penta community strategists ended their rant there and stuck by their principles of they'll never work with Sweet Bing Bong Baby again, this video could end here. However, it turns out that Spitfire Interactive and Penta may have been lying the entire time. This brings us to another article. Cape's publisher bans numerous Steam users after they question narratives surrounding Sweet Baby Inc. One user named Lazy Joe Beard said and showed evidence stating, "They are banning people on Steam for asking questions within the rules, making claims within the rules, and just not believing them. All I said was I think he is lying about removing all of Sweet Baby Inc. stuff and why I believe it." So maybe it's a one and done kind of deal, right? Of course not, why would it? Another user simply named Daryl, who was also banned, claimed Spitfire and their community managers were suspiciously only interacting with the user on the forums and ignoring everyone else, and this user was named Synthetic, which was a recently created profile. Daryl said, "Just a heads up for everyone, Synthetic is a level 0 account and the way they're commenting it seems like it's a fake account made by a member of Spitfire or something. Notice how the strategic community dev dude only responds to Synthetic and ignores everyone else. Willis, the level 0 account, positively reinforces the company by going stuff like all hope and love for the game devs and we're all these legion of crybabies, us the gamers, this is sickening cope." So allegedly Spitfire is trying to use fake accounts ran by devs to turn public opinion around by making them seem genuine. Users caught wind of this, then asked Penta why they banned Daryl, to which Penta said, "This is not a moderation-free zone. If you break the rules, don't listen to warnings, and continue with the pre-warned behavior, we still have to do our job. Making up lies and creating conspiracy theories is not the way here." Another user would reply to Penta, who was also banned eventually, by saying, "That's a lot of words for we don't want your money, because at this point I will not buy your game. Just because you make a game doesn't mean you deserve business. And any company caving to the insane ramblings of Critical X Theory deserves to go bankrupt. Give us the dude bro culture back and make quality games for the audience that actually plays your games." And like I said, after saying this Izayash, I'm probably saying it wrong, was banned for their comment. Instead of calming concerns, Penta digs the hole deeper, responding to Izayash by saying, "If you would have read the lot of words, you would have seen that this was not what was happening. If you won't take in the information I give you, and you just believe whatever you want to believe, there's no reason in leaving this discussion open." Cool, so instead of addressing concerns, your big brain move is to instead ban people for wrongthink and claim they are wrong without giving them the ability to defend themselves. It's sounding more like Spitfire doesn't want people talking openly about what concerns them, which is of course a big red flag. Another user named Quagamus Decimus, all these usernames by the way, they're all amazing, you guys have really goofy names, I love it, but they said in response, "Yeah, just got warned for a post, so much for professionalism. Where was that professionalism when they published Gollum? Whatever data leak games are now forever blacklisted from purchase. Have a wonderful day everyone." Wait a second, the same publisher of Case did that awful Gollum game? Wow, okay, well, this makes a lot more sense now. If they thought that that Gollum game was good enough to release, I question what they do in the future even more now. Penta would again keep digging that shovel deeper by responding to Quagamus Decimus with, "Yes, since breaking the Steam guidelines like you did, we'll still be moderated. Just because I'm giving the Sweet Baby Inc. topic and the comments about it much more freedom than other community managers would do in this situation, doesn't mean that this is a moderation-free area. You have dozens of examples in here how you can voice your opinion in a mannered way without personal attacks or actively trying to heat up the discussion again." But in Quagamus Decimus's defense, they are simply asking questions. It's you, Penta, that is perceiving anything these people have said that you and others have banned as personal attacks. Criticism of your game or your company's ethics can and should be addressed. You're a strategist, for God's sakes. Should you be able to look at a situation like this and, I don't know, use your talents to turn it around into a win for your company? Because that's kind of your job, dude. These people are not wrong to voice their opinions, and you banning them will just embolden them further. Like I said, had all of this never happened, I would never have even heard of Capes to begin with. And I mean, based on the Steam player counts, neither would many others, since recently Capes peaked at 21 players in the past 24 hours, with only 12 people playing it right now. And there wasn't even 1,000 people that bought the game and played the game during its release. There's no way this game did well enough financially. I think when your game couldn't even break 1,000 in sales during release, the last thing you should be doing is pushing away more potential buyers. But this is what happens. You play stupid games, you win dumber prizes. Don't support Sweet Baby Inc. Penta could have salvaged this, but they kept going, and now look at what's happening. 12 players on Steam. Good lord, dude. Speaking of games bleeding players, let's mosey over to Helldivers 2. You likely know the lore behind this game, but for those who don't, quickly, Helldivers 2 was going to become the biggest game of 2024. Until Sony shot their franchise in the foot by demanding that PC players needing a Sony PlayStation account to keep playing. The game also got delisted in any country which didn't have access to PSN, which, by the way, that's a lot of countries, like over 100. This also led to a mass exodus and thousands of refunds on Steam, which was the primary platform for Helldivers 2's success. Then, as if that wasn't bad enough, Helldivers community managers revealed that they're woke freaks and, like Penta of Spitfire, started banning people for wrongthink. So for the past few months, Helldivers forums and Discord servers have been getting purged of anybody who doesn't believe in identity politics or is okay with the PSN sign-in requirement for PC. It's pretty much made Helldivers into a ghost town. They have a new content update that is officially out right now, but apparently it's not saving the game at all. As you'll see on screen as I share them, Helldivers player counts are not rising the way Sony hoped for, and the reviews remain mixed despite new content being dropped. This is mostly caused, despite adding new content, Arrowhead is still nerfing viable builds into the ground for whatever reason. Because weapons like flamethrowers, for example, they saw drastic nerfs, which confused many because, in case you don't know, Helldivers 2 is a PvE only game. There's no player versus player, well, unless you shoot your friend by accident or drop a bomb on them for a good laugh. But the whole concept of nerfing a co-op game where you work together, it makes little sense. According to Forbes, the theory in the community is that Arrowhead nerfs viable builds prior to the release of new content updates or packs, which are like these mini battle passes if you don't know, and each of these mini passes have new weapons and armor that is unique to each pack. And the Helldivers devs might be doing this on purpose so that it incentivizes you to seek out and buy the new shiny pack of weapons and cosmetics, which of course are not nerfed yet because they're brand new, and Arrowhead wants you to want them so that they can make money. Of course, there's no proof that this is what is happening, but apparently it does keep happening according to the community, and that really wouldn't surprise me either. Remember how back in the day Apple was sued for making older iPhones slower and worse on purpose via software updates to push consumers into buying newer models? And then Apple was actually fined $27 million for doing just that, by the way. Apparently it was tied to the lithium batteries in the iPhone slowing down over time, but regardless, Apple didn't make this well known to consumers. Anyways, that's what's been theorized here with Helldivers 2 right now. Every weapon is its own iPhone, if you will. And Arrowhead really wants you to buy the shiny, new-looking iPhone Helldiver pack, so that means everything you bought previously must now suck worse than usual for seemingly no apparent reason. Is it scummy? Absolutely. But is it surprising? Not at all. At this point, I don't really see Helldivers making a comeback in any way until maybe they add in that other alien race that's been leaked since forever ago. But between the nerfing, shady bundle nonsense, and their community managers pushing woke nonsense, I will just continue to not play Helldivers. There's really no reason to give any money or time to something that is employing people that clearly hate people like me. I'm good, thanks. Finally, Warner Bros. Is apparently looking to sell off its game division. This is being considered to protect Warner Bros. From lawsuits with debt investors, as it's claimed, but it seems like Warner Bros. As a company in general is just dying overall. Their movies, besides maybe Barbie, have been flopping this past year and then some. Their games like Suicide Squad failed big time, and they're not likely to have another Hogwarts Legacy level success for a really long time either. And also, from what I've been hearing behind the scenes, the Wonder Woman game being made by the team that did Shadow of Mordor and War is not going over well at all. It could also be Sweet Baby Infected, and it's pretty much in development hell right now. Warner did try to sell their games division before, and Microsoft allegedly was interested in buying it, but they backed out in 2020. Apparently, the reason being is that this sale that Warner wants for their game studios would be just that, the studios. But the IP, as in DC Comics, Mortal Kombat, and so on, these are not a part of the deal or sale. So anyone who buys their games division is just buying the studios and the devs within those studios to work on whatever the new owner would want. but they would still need to license out the IP from Warner and pay them if they wanted to make another Batman Arkham game, for example. Which at that point, if you're not getting the IP, many would ask, well, what's the point then? And you're right, that's the problem. It would kind of be like buying a McDonald's restaurant, but you're not allowed to sell McDonald's food, but you can use the facilities to make your own different food and brand. And at that point, why even buy the McDonald's restaurant there in the first place, you know? Frankly, I don't really see this sale ever going through myself. I think based on past efforts, the only studios likely worth even remotely purchasing are probably NetherRealm, which does Mortal Kombat, Monolith, who did Shadow of Mordor and War, and maybe Avalanche, who did Hogwarts. Rocksteady is not the same Rocksteady we knew, so they're cooked and dead in the water already. Frankly, I just don't see any of this resulting in any of these studios being bought out. However, according to this whole situation, Warner may be looking to license their IP to other studios finally. So you could see a Batman game from another developer, or maybe even a Superman game, but we don't know yet, it's too early. But I guess if you could pick, which studio out there would you think is a good fit for any of Warner's IPs? For example, imagine if Rockstar, who makes Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption, got a hold of Batman. I doubt that would ever happen, but at least the possibility of new studios working on these IP are now possible. So let me know which you would pick in the comments. Anyways, I think that's enough for now, but Sweet Baby is killing stuff aplenty. Helldivers is cooked despite updates, and Warner Bros. Is having a really difficult time making anything good lately. What do you think about all of this? Subscribe, like, and share, and thanks to my patrons and members for their support. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one.